Hello everyone! Last year I did the story of the Headless Horseman for Halloween, and since I can't tell the same story twice, for this year I've decided to go with the story of Sylvanas. Her story is one of my favorites, and I might not be able to tell all the little details, but I will do my best. Let's begin, shall we? Not much is known about Sylvanas before the first Horde invasion. We know that she comes from the Windrunner family, and most of you probably know her sisters. You have the oldest sister, Illyria Windrunner, who joined the Alliance of Lordaeron in their battle against the first Horde invasion. She also stepped through the Dark Portal after the Horde's second invasion to try and prevent the Horde from invading different worlds. She fell in love with the human paladin Trevelyan, and they made the ultimate sacrifice of closing the Dark Portal on Draenar's side to prevent Azeroth from being destroyed. Many believe that the Alliance expedition was gone forever, but the Dark Portal reopened during the Burning Crusade, and we discovered that several of the members were still alive. However, Illyria and Trevelyan, they're still missing, and we have no idea where Sylvanas, her older sister, currently is. Now her younger sister, Sylvanas Windrunner, she was sent on a secret mission to help the human mage Ronin. They would eventually assist with the liberation of the Red Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, and on their journey, Sylvanas and Ronin grew closer. Ronin would become the leader of the Kirin Tor. They would have 2 children together, but tragedy struck at the bombing of Fedamore. Ronin, he sacrificed himself by drawing in the mana bomb to control the explosion and save his wife. He even managed to push Jaina into a portal before the explosion hit, and his sacrifice saved many lives. Ronin's death would have a great impact on Sylvanas and by extension Sylvanas, but we'll get to that story later on. Now for Sylvanas, she describes herself when she was young as very vain. She was beautiful, even for High Elf standards, and she was a very skilled hunter, the most promising one in her family. This skill, this talent, would earn her the title of Ranger General of Silvermoon. Sylvanas was actually the commander of all of Quel'thelas' military forces, and like I mentioned, the first time that she shows up in the story is during the first Horde invasion. The Horde, by this point, had already taken Stormwind and were on their way to conquer Lordaeron. Anduin Lothar took as many of his people as he could from Stormwind across the sea to warn the Kingdom of Lordaeron about the Horde and get a fighting force going. The nobles of Lordaeron, they formed the Alliance of Lordaeron, and Lothar's bloodline goes back to the Arathi bloodline. The Arathi, they aided the High Elves many years ago in the so-called Troll Wars, and the High Elves had promised their aid, their allegiance to the descendants of the Arathi bloodline. However, the High Elves, they did not see the Horde as a threat to their lands. They relied on their magic to defend their own home, and they only sent a token force to aid the Alliance. Illyria Windrunner, she disagreed with her leader's choices, and she volunteered to join the token force in the war against the Horde. She believed that the Horde could be a threat to all of the world, not just the humans, and she would be proven right. Eventually, the Horde, they marched upon the kingdom of Quel'thelas, and Illyria, she wanted nothing more than to run back home and warn her kin. But Trevelyan, he kept her in line. There was no way that she would make the trip back home on her own, even though he himself wanted nothing more than to warn them. But they had to be smart, and they had to stick together. Part of the Alliance, they marched to Quel'thelas as the Horde already began their assault. The trolls who had joined the Horde, they had been enemies with the elves for centuries, and they could not wait to kill every elf they could find. From the trees, they swooped down, they took up patrols, as the rest of the Horde, they made ready for a full assault. Once the Alliance arrived, they could see that fires were spreading across the forest and that the Horde had already begun their assault. Trevelyan, he wanted to work together with the elves, he wanted to coordinate their attacks, so finally he could give Illyria the freedom to run back home and warn her people. In the meantime, the Alliance kept the Horde busy, and Illyria first ran into her sister Sylvanas as a pack of trolls dropped down from the trees. The trolls, they outnumbered them, but they didn't know the forest as well as Sylvanas did. Together with her sister, they ran to a stream. The trolls close behind, so close that they were nearly grabbed. But just before they could, the trolls were shot down by Sylvanas and her troops. Illyria took one of the troll heads with her as she met with the council to convince them of the dangers right at the borders. At first the council didn't want to listen, but when they saw the head, they knew that her words were true. Their king, an Astarian Sunstrider, he was outraged that the trolls dared to invade their lands, and he now committed the full might of the High Elves military forces to the Alliance. Led by Sylvanas Windrunner and her second-in-command Lor'themar Varran, the High Elves and the Alliance, they crushed the Horde between their 2 forces. Things were looking up as their plan was obviously working, but the Horde, it was no pushover. They released their ogre magi, and they even had dragons breathe fire from the sky, and this the Alliance simply could not take. On top of that, Quel'thelas was obviously not the primary focus of the Horde. They had set their eyes upon the capital city of Lordaeron, so Trevelyan, he was forced to take their troops and chase the Horde before they could take on the heart of the Alliance. Sylvanas, her people, they still had their magic, their sunwell to protect their city, and not even the dragons were able to penetrate those defenses, so for the moment, their people would be alright. The Horde laid siege on the capital city, and they probably would have won the war in a day or two, was it not for Gul'dan. Gul'dan felt no allegiance to the Horde. All he cared about was getting more power for himself, and he knew that there was power to be found at the depths of the ocean. He split his forces away from the Horde, which forced Doomhammer to send his own troops after Gul'dan to take revenge upon this traitor. In the meantime, the Alliance had also cut off the Horde's route of reinforcements, and Trevelyan, Sylvanas, Illyria, Lor'themar, all of them were assaulting the Horde as they tried to take the city. All in all, things were simply not looking good, and Doomhammer had to retreat all the way back to Blackrock Mountain. The Alliance, they followed the bulk of the Horde as the High Elves made sure to clean their forest of any invading forces. Not a lot of details are given about this fight, but we do know that Sylvanas, she lost a lot of her people to the Horde's invasion and a lot of her own family, including her little brother Lyrav. Upon finding this out, Illyria went off the deep end for quite some time as she saw how much damage the Horde had done to her people, and she devoted herself to killing every single orc that she could get her hands on. Sylvanas, she had her own forces to lead as they cleaned up their lands, and due to their allegiance with the Alliance, she allowed a human to join the ranks of her Farstriders. Nathanos Maris became the first and last of the human ranger lords, despite Sylvanas' her people objecting against this. Sylvanas didn't care what the people said, not even Kil'jaeden's Sunstrider was able to force her to send Nathanos away, and some of the fans speculate that there was more going on. That there was more to Nathanos than just his skill that attracted Sylvanas, but that's purely speculation from the fans. It would make sense though. We have Illyria who fell in love with Trevelyan, we have Vrisa who fell in love with Ronan, and Sylvanas perhaps with Nathanos? Who knows? What we do know for certain is that the Dark Portal would reopen and the Horde returned for a second invasion. Sylvanas, she did not join the Alliance expedition as they battled the Horde, but her older sister Illyria did decide to join the troops. Before they stepped through the Dark Portal, she sent out her friend Verana to bring a gift to her sisters. Illyria realized that there was a very big chance that it would never return, so she wanted her sisters to have something to remember her by. From a necklace given to her by her parents, she made 3 individual lockets. 1 emerald, 1 ruby and 1 sapphire with an inscription for each of her sisters. To Verisa, with love Illyria, and to Sylvanas, love always Illyria. Verina told Illyria that she would keep the lockets safe until Illyria would return, and then she could give them herself. But as we know, Illyria would not return, and the gifts were delivered to her sisters. This ends the story of the first and second Horde invasion, and it brings us to the events of Warcraft 3. Over time, the Alliance and the alliance with the High Elves, it would weaken. With no major force to fight and to unite them, the kingdoms, they started to fight amongst each other about where to spend their gold, what to do with the remaining orcs, and this also meant that the High Elves, they stayed more to themselves. The Lich King, who was sent by Kil'jaeden to weaken Azeroth and summon more of the Burning Legion, he made contact with the human wizard Kel'thuzad, and together they worked on spreading a plague across the kingdom. This plague did not only kill, but it also resurrected the dead as forces for the Scourge. The Prince of Lordaeron, a young paladin by the name of Arthas Menethil, was sent by his father to investigate the reports of this plague. Together with Uther the Lightbringer and Jaina Proudmoore, they saw how their people were converted, and they even managed to kill Kel'thuzad. Killing the wizard did not stop the plague from spreading though, and at Stratholme, Arthas had to make an impossible choice since the plague had already reached the city. Disguised as a shipment of grain, the citizens had baked it into the bread, and there was no telling who had already eaten from it.
Oh no. We're too late. These people have all been infected. They may look fine now, but it's just a matter of time before they turn into the undead.
What?
This entire city must be purged.
Arthas made the choice to purge the city, while Jaina and Uther, they turned away from him. Inside the city, he found the Dreadlord Mal'Ganis, who taunted Arthas to meet him in the cold heart of Northrend.
Gather your forces and meet me in the Arctic land of Northrend. It is there that we shall settle the score between us. It is there that your true destiny will unfold.
I'll hunt you to the ends of the earth if I have to. Do you hear me? To the ends of the earth!
And so he did. Arthas was able to stop Mal'Ganis by picking up the cursed blade known as Frostmourne, but by doing so, he gave up a piece of his soul. Now he too was listening to the whispers of the Lich King, which told him to go home and take the throne from his father.
What is this? What are you doing, my son? Succeeding you, father.
Now the kingdom was truly lost, and Arthas destroyed in days what his father had tried to build in years. His next mission was to reclaim the remains of Kel'thuzad and resurrect him as a Lich. To do this, they would need an incredibly powerful source of power, and lucky for them, they could find such a power in Quel'thelas, namely the Sunwell. Sylvanas received reports from a scout that the undead were marching, and naturally the High Elves they had heard rumors about the plague spreading across the human lands, but they had thought that they would be safe in their own city. Quel'thelas had been able to stand against trolls, against orcs and even dragons. Surely this new threat wouldn't be a problem. They had made this mistake before, only this time the mistake would cost them dearly.
You are not welcome here. I am Sylvanas Windrunner, Ranger General of Silvermoon. I advise you to turn back now.
It is you who should turn back, Sylvanas. Death itself has come to your land.
Do your worst. The Elf Gate to the Inner Kingdom is protected by our most powerful enchantments. You shall not pass.
Sylvanas met Arthas on the field of battle as he tried to defend the first gate, but the might of the Scourge was incredible. Every slain enemy, Arthas simply raised back to life, and her fallen forces were either converted into the Scourge or their dead bodies used as ammunition to throw at her. Reluctantly, Sylvanas gave the order to fall back to their second gate, an order she had never imagined she would have to give.
Shindufana. Fall back to the second gate. Fall back!
The Elf Gate has fallen. Onward, my warriors. Onward to victory.
You've won through this gate, Butcher, but you won't get through the second. The inner gate to Silvermoon can only be opened with a special key, and it shall never be yours.
You waste your time, woman. You cannot outrun the inevitable.
You think that I'm running from you? Apparently, you've never fought elves before.
Damn that woman! We must find a way to cross the river.
The kingdom of Quel'thelas had always been well defended by magic, but a traitor from within, Darkan Drafir, had told Arthas about the Key of Three Moons and how to break through the magical defenses. Blowing up the bridge had bought Sylvanas some precious time to warn her people, but it did not stop the Scourge. Arthas filled the water with enough corpses to create a bridge, which allows his troops to move further. Sylvanas, she knew that one way or another they would have to make a stand against this butcher, and as they prepared themselves, she thought back to a time where the world was right. Where she, her sisters and her brother, they loved to sing a song together. By the light of the sun, High Elves, our enemies are breaking through.
I salute your bravery, Elf, but the chase is over.
Then I'll make my stand here, Butcher. Anara la Belori. Finish it. I deserve a clean death.
After all you've put me through, woman, the last thing I'll give you is the peace of death.
No, you wouldn't dare.
And then it went away. It all went away. The coldness, the stench, the searing pain. It was soft and warm and dark and calm and comforting, and Sylvanas permitted herself to sink into the welcoming darkness. At last she could rest, could lay down the arms she had borne for so long in service to her people. And then agony shot through her, agony such as she had never known, and Sylvanas suddenly knew that no physical pain she had ever endured could hold a pale candle to this torment. This was an agony of the spirit, of her soul leaving her lifeless form and being trapped.
Why have I been summoned?
Arthas denied Sylvanas the peace of the afterlife. He ripped her soul out of her body, turned her into a banshee under his full control, and he kept her body locked away in a chest just for a little bit of extra torment. Sylvanas was forced to watch in horror as Arthas took down her city and killed her king. An Astarian Suntrider, he tried to defend his people, but he was over 3,000 years old, and he was no match for the might of Frostmourne. Sylvanas, she had screamed before when Arthas had tortured her, but now she let out a scream like none she had ever before. The pain and agony of watching her people fall poured out of her, and against her will she did even more damage to her people. Her banshee scream scattered armor and made her people bleed out of their ears and die. Arthas had succeeded in his mission, and he claimed the Sunwell.
Citizens of Silvermoon, I have given you ample opportunities to surrender, but you have stubbornly refused. Know that today, your entire race and your ancient heritage will end. Death itself has come to claim the high home of the elves. Now arise, Kel'thuzad, and serve the Lich King once again.
Sylvanas couldn't believe that all of this destruction, the brutal murder of her people, was all just to bring Kel'thuzad back to life. She was sickened by all of this, and the only thing that gave her a little breather from her agony was to see how Darkhan was foolish enough to try and betray Arthas as he had betrayed his people. Arthas showed no mercy, and he took Darkhan's life just as he had taken Sylvanas her life. Now Kil'jaeden's plan of sending the Lich King to Azeroth was to bring the Legion for a new invasion. Kel'thuzad was put on the task of summoning Archimonde, and he actually succeeded in bringing this powerful demon to our world.
You have done well, little Lich. My plan worked perfectly. Lord Archimonde, all the preparations have been made. Very well, Tichondrius. Since the Lich King is of no further use to me, you Dreadlords will now command the Scourge. As you wish, Lord Archimonde. Soon, I will order the invasion to begin. But first, I will make an example of these paltry wizards by crushing their city into the ashes of history.
This has got to be a joke. What happens to us now?
Be patient, young Death Knight. The Lich King foresaw this as well. You may yet have a part to play in his grand design.
The Lich King, he did not work willingly for Kil'jaeden. In secret, he worked on his own plans of undermining the Legion, and he had Arthas point Illidan towards the skull of Gul'dan. This skull would give Illidan the power needed to take out the powerful Dreadlord known as Tichondrius, and by extension give the Night Elves, the humans and the Orcs the opportunity to defeat Archimonde. This meant that the Legion invasion was prevented, but the other Dreadlords left in command of the Scourge, they did not know about this. Arthas saw how Archimonde fell at the battle for Mount Hyjal, and he quickly made his way back to his kingdom.
What? Who could possibly...
Greetings, Dreadlords. I should thank you for looking after my kingdom during my absence. However, I won't be requiring your services any longer.
Prince Arthas, this land is ours. The Scourge belongs to the Legion.
Not anymore, demon. Your masters have been defeated. The Legion is undone. Your deaths will complete the circle.
Never! This isn't over, human.
We knew you would return to us, Prince Arthas.
I have returned, Lich, but you will now address me as king. This is, after all, my land.
But what King Arthas didn't count on was that the Lich King's powers were draining. Casting out Frostmourne had created a crack in the ice, and Illidan's attempt at trying to destroy Icecrown from a distance had made this crack bigger. The Lich King informed Arthas that danger was approaching and that he quickly had to come back to Northrend to merge with him, so Arthas prepared for the journey. With his powers diminished, Sylvanas found that her will was her own again. She no longer heard the whispers of the Lich King in her mind, and the time of vengeance was upon her. She met with the Dreadlords, and they made their plans to overthrow the king.
Lady Sylvanas, we are pleased that you came.
How could I not? For some reason, I no longer hear the Lich King's voice in my head. My will is my own once again. You Dreadlords seem to know why.
We've discovered that the Lich King is losing his power. As it wanes, so too does his ability to command undead such as you.
And what of King Arthas? What about his powers?
Though his rune-blade Frostmourne carries powerful enchantments, Arthas's own powers will fade in time. It is inevitable.
You seek to overthrow him, and you want my help to do it.
The Legion may be defeated, but we are the Nathrezim. We'll not let some upstart human get the best of us. Arthas must fall.
The Lich Kel'thuzad is far too loyal to betray his master. But you, on the other hand...
Hate him. I have my own reasons for seeking vengeance. Arthas murdered my people and turned me into this monstrosity. I may take part in your bloody coup, but I will do so in my own way.
We have no time for this. We must find our way out quickly. You have my thanks, ladies. But where is your mistress? Where is Sylvanas?
She sent us to find you, Great King. We've come to escort you across the river. Once we cross it, we'll take refuge in the wilderness.
Sylvanas, she had been able to recover her body from the chest in which Arthas had ordered it to be placed. Her banshees led Arthas into a trap to the place where Sylvanas would finally have her revenge.
This is the place, sisters. We'll rest here, Great King.
Why here? We've got to find Kel'thuzad before we...
You have been deceived. Come to my side at once. Obey.
What is happening here? Sylvanas.
You walked right into this one, Arthas. It's time to even the scales.
Traitor! What have you done to me?
It's a special poisoned arrow I made just for you. The paralysis you're experiencing now is but a fraction of the agony you've caused me.
Finish me, then.
A quick death? Like the one you gave me? No. You're going to suffer as I did. Thanks to my arrow, you can't even run. Give my regards to Hell, you son of a bitch.
Back, you mindless ones! You shall not fall today, my king.
This isn't over, Arthas. I'll never stop hunting you.
Kel'thuzad showed up just in time and he saved Arthas' life, and Arthas would make the journey to Northrend as Kel'thuzad stayed behind to rule his kingdom. Apparently at some point during this story, Kel'thuzad he either went into hiding or he relocated to Naxxramas. Either way, he kinda disappeared from the story as Sylvanas was contacted by the Dreadlords.
You seem troubled, mistress.
Aren't you, sister? Only days ago we were the Lich King's slaves. We existed only to slaughter in his name. And now, we are free.
I don't understand, mistress. I thought you'd be overjoyed.
What joy is there in this curse? We are still undead, sister. Still monstrosities. What are we if not slaves to this torment?
Lady Sylvanas. My brothers and I appreciate the role you played in overthrowing Arthas. I've come to offer you a formal invitation to join our new order.
There in Mothras. My only interest was in seeing Arthas dead. I have no time for your petty politics or power-mongering.
Careful, milady. It would be unwise to incur our wrath. We are the future of these plague lands. You can either join us and rule, or be cast aside.
I lived as a slave long enough, Dreadlord. I won't relinquish my freedom by shackling myself to you fools.
So be it.
come soon.
Revenge, that's what Sylvanas wanted at this point, but to take out Arthas, she first had to get a home base, she had to get an army. The Dreadlords, they were not pleased with her declining their invitation, so Sylvanas knew that they would strike soon. There was plenty of work to do before Sylvanas could get her revenge, and the first step was to take on the Dreadlords. With her Banshee sisters, she managed to take over some of the local population, like ogres, gnolls and murlocs. These forces, they proved to be powerful enough to take on Varimafra's forces, but the Dreadlords, he made Sylvanas an offer.
Any final words, demon?
Sylvanas, spare my life. I beg you. I can be of service. I swear it.
Just like a demon, you'd sell your brethren out just to save your own skin. I'm listening.
I know what my brother's plans are. I know where their forces are based. Just let me serve you, and I'll help you defeat them.
All right, Varimafras. I'll let you prove your loyalty to me. But be warned, I'm keeping you on a short leash.
Varimafras, true to his word, led Sylvanas directly to his brother Deferok, and there they find out that Deferok used his powers to control the humans, amongst them General Gerithos. Sylvanas, she used her own banshees to take control of the humans. They opened the gates from the inside, and together they took out the armies before they even realized what hit them. Taking out Deferok released the humans from his spell, and Sylvanas made a deal with Gerithos.
The spell has been lifted. Is the nightmare finally over?
Stand down, humans. I have no quarrel with you.
What is it you want, elf witch?
We have a common enemy. The last Dreadlord Balnazar currently controls the capital city of your kingdom. If you help me kill him, I'll see to it that you get your lands back.
Why should we trust you? You're part of the scourge that drove us out in the first place.
Not anymore. My only interest here is vengeance.
Very well. I'll rally what's left of my forces and meet you outside the gates.
Come now. You have no intention of giving them their lands back.
Of course not. The humans are simply a means to an end.
You sound more like one of us with every passing day, my lady.
Watch it, Dreadlord.
All three of them, they strike out at Balnazar's forces, and they actually manage to take the capital city. However, before taking out Balnazar, Sylvanas had one final test for Varimafras.
It's over, Balnazar. Varimafras.
Yes, my lady.
Kill him.
But It is forbidden for one of the Nathrezim to kill another. My defection was one thing, but this...
I require one last test of your loyalty, Dreadlord. Do it.
You wouldn't dare.
There, your business is done. Now I want you wretched animals out of my city before I...
Kill him, too.
Gladly.
The capital city is ours, but we are no longer part of the Scourge. From here on out, we shall be known as the Forsaken. We will find our own path in this world, Dreadlord, and slaughter anyone who stands in our way.
And so Sylvanas, she created a home for those who were able to step away from the Lich King's control. The Forsaken, they rallied around their Banshee Queen with their main goal of getting revenge upon the one who placed this curse upon them. Arthas' journey would eventually lead him to merging with the Lich King, as Sylvanas, she reached out to find more allies and secure her position in the world. That, however, is a tale for next time, since I've been going on for long enough. I do hope you'll enjoy this little Halloween special. Coming Monday, we'll continue the story. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, and until next time, guys, see ya!
Dark Lady, watch over you.